Alright, so here we're going to be dealing with amplitude and period change. And so the number in the very front is your amplitude. The number being multiplied by theta is your period change. And so you always want to do the opposite of the operation with the period change number, and then the same one with the amplitude. So here we look and we see that we have a 2 being multiplied with the theta. So that means with our x's, we want to do x divided by 2. Then when we look here, our amplitude is 2, so we want to multiply 2 by our y's. So if we look at this, setting up our table, okay, 0 divided by 2 is 0, 90 divided by 2 is 45, 180 divided by 2 is 90, 270 divided by 2 is 135, and 360 divided by 2 is 180. So what we've done is taken the entire period and split it in half, because there's going to be 2 waves for as long as it takes to go 1 wave regularly. And so now for our y values, we're going to double them. So since it's sine, you're starting at 0. 0 times 2 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 0 times 2 is 0. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And 0 times 0 is 0. So set up your graphs the same way. 0 to 180. Halfway is 90. Halfway is 45. Halfway is 135. Now we're going to 2 and negative 2, and just plot 0, 0, 45 and 2, 90 and 0, 135 and negative 2, 180 and 0, and draw in your sine wave. And there you go. Okay, so looking at this one, we have 2 times the theta, so that means we have to do the x's over 2, which is exactly the same as what we had in our previous example. So 0, 45, 90, 135, 180. And our y's all stay the same. So it's cosine, you're starting at 1, then going 0, negative 1, 0, and back to 1. And so now we just have to put in our scale. So 0 to 180, halfway is 90, halfway is 45, halfway is 135. And here we're going to 1 and negative 1 and plot. So 0, 1, 45, 0, 90, negative 1, 135, 0, 180 to 1, and draw in your curve. And there you go. Okay, looking at 3. Okay, we've got the 2 on the inside and 1/2 on the outside. So that means our x's are going to be divided by 2. And guess what? Our y's are going to be divided by 2 as well, because y times 1/2 is y divided by 2. So our x's are going to stay the same as before. So 0, 45, 90, 135, and 180. Now, since it's cosine, we have to take half of our value. So we start at 1. So now we're starting at 1/2. And then 0, negative 1/2, 0, and 1/2. And so now, set our scale. 0, 180. Halfway is 90. Halfway is 45. Halfway is 135. And we're going from 1/2 to negative 1/2, and plot the cosine. So here, then here, then at the very bottom, then back to the x-axis, and then back to the top. And draw your curve. Okay, so really making these is not really any different. They're going to look the same size no matter what. What's different is the values that you use. And really, it's very simple once you get the hang of it. Alright, so now here, do our analysis again. A 4 on the inside, 4 on the outside. So that means we're going to have x's divided by 4 and we're going to have 4 times the y's. So here, 0 divided by 4 is 0. 90 divided by 4 is 27.5. And then we're going to have half of 90, or a fourth of 180 is 45. And then a fourth of 270 is going to be 62.5. And 90. Okay, so now the y's times 4, you're doing cosine, so you're starting at 1. So 1 times 4 is 4. 0 times 4 is 0. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And the back side is going to be looking like the front side. So now all you have to do is set your scale. Go from 0 to 90. Halfway is 45. Halfway here is 27.5. And halfway here is 62.5. And now we're going from 4 to negative 4. And so let's start plotting. 0 to 4, 0, down to negative 4, back to 0, back up to 4, and draw in your curve. There you go. Okay. Now 5 and 6, you look, analyze. Okay, we're dividing by 4, and we're multiplying by 4. So that means we have our x's are going to be times 4, and our y's are going to be times 4. So here we go. So 0 times 4 is 0. 90 times 4 is 360. 90 times, or not 90, 180 times 4 is going to be 720. And then 1080. And then that last one's going to be 1440. And then 4 times the y's, it's cosine. So it's just like the last one we did, from 4 to negative 4 with zeros in between them. And so here we go. We got 0, 1440. Halfway between is 720. Halfway between is 360. Halfway between is 1080. And again, our y's, we go from 4 to negative 4. And here we graph 0, 4, 360, 0, 720, negative 4, 1080, 0, and 1440 to 4. Drawing your curve. And there you go. Okay? And the last one here with degrees, we're dividing by 3 here, and we are multiplying by 3 here. So we have 3 times x and 3 times y. So 0 times 3 is 0. 90 times 3 is 270. 180 times 3 is 540. And then you get 810. And then you get 1080. And if you take the y's times 3, again, it's cosine again. So 3, 0, negative 3, 0, and 3. Okay? And so set it up. There's 0. We go all the way, go out to 1080. Halfway is 540. Halfway is 270. And halfway is 810. And it goes from 3 to negative 3. And here we go. 0, 3. Then to 0. Then a negative 3. Then back to 0. And up to 3. And back down and back up. And that is graphing with the amplitude and